Right now, on to the point. State workers sound off after returning to the office. The concerns they're raising, how the governor is responding.
It's a healthy thing for their mental health.
$1 billion boost for education, the major funding plan, and why more money is now available. Thousands of California drivers may have to head back to the DMV, why they're being told to retake their written test or risk losing their driver's license. And in our Champions of Hope,
they're my favorite team in like the world.
We visit a camp giving riders independence and the thrill of riding a bike. It has been 1 week since Governor Gavin Newsom's return to office mandate took effect, and the union representing thousands of state workers says that the transition has been far from smooth. As always, thank you so much for joining us. On To the Point, I'm Alex Bell. ABC 10's Jeannie Nguyen is here to share with us the difficulties state employees have been experiencing so far, and also the response from the governor tonight.
Alex, the union representing many state employees say members are raising concerns about health, safety, and crowded workspaces that they say make it harder to do their jobs. In response, the governor is standing by his words, saying that returning back to the office will benefit the community.
As the first wave of state employees start to acclimate to a new work schedule, SEIU Local 1000 President Annika Walls says productivity has been a challenge.
There's like water contamination issues. There's like rodent and bug infestation issues. There's also things like space issues, parking issues.
Governor Gavin Newsom's return to office mandate took effect July 1st, and CalHR says it affects about 108,000 employees. Many of them were on hybrid or telework schedules since the COVID-19 pandemic. SEIU Local 1000 represents many state employees and has been openly opposed to the order, saying it wastes state dollars.
I think we've shown that we can save the taxpayers' money and do our jobs efficiently and effectively, modernizing how government work is done. And the state's own data showed that on the dashboard.
Adding that employees are concerned about their health and safety. The union provided ABC 10 with this video that appears to be bed bugs within the Department of Education. This photo appears to show cockroaches in the May Lee State Office complex in Sacramento.
They're monitoring this to make sure that they're not taking these critters back to their houses, because then that means that we have to fumigate our homes. We have to buy new whatever, right, depending on the situation, perhaps pay for medical bills that were unnecessary.
During a press conference on Thursday, ABC 10 tried to ask the governor about the criticisms on the mandate now that it's officially been implemented. But this was his brief response.
I'm glad people are getting back to work. It's a healthy thing for their mental health.
Walls says members have filed official complaints about health and safety concerns from various state departments, like the Public Employees Retirement System, Department of Industrial Relations, and Department of Education. A spokesperson with CalHR says issues are initiated at the department level, and CalHR is not aware of any formal complaints related to the return to office mandate.
And I do want to note that SEIU Local 1000 is actively in contract negotiations with the state at this moment. The union is asking for fair pay, affordable health care, and of course, safe telework options. Alex.
All right, Jeannie, thank you for that update. All right, now to a story that we brought you yesterday. The Los Rios Community College District approved a $1.1 billion bond measure for the November ballot. The Board of Trustees voted just last night to place the measure on the ballot to pay for repairs, modernization, and technology to update campuses across their region. Now, those include Folsom Lake College, Cosumnes River College, American River College, and Sacramento City College, as well as its satellite campuses. The measure passed on a 5-2 vote.
We don't want our buildings declining to a point like anyone's home. They're no longer fixable, and this is the right thing to do, is to go to the voters.
District leaders said that they do not expect property owners to see a higher tax rate if voters approve the measure. Instead, they said the new bond would largely extend existing payments as current bond debt is paid off, rather than increase the tax rate. The measure now heads to voters inside the special taxing district. Because it is a school facilities bond, it will require 55% voter approval in November to pass. Governor Newsom signed legislation just this morning, granting billions more for education. Under the voter-passed Proposition 98, California is constitutionally required to allocate a certain amount of state budget towards education. That means in higher revenue years like the current one, more must go towards education. Earlier in budget negotiations, Newsom had proposed putting away $3.9 billion into Prop 98 rainy day reserve, but following fierce pushback that those funds were needed now. Only $500 million is being put away. That means more money now is available to invest in statewide education, including special education.
We're doing fine with some earlier investments, but there was this gnawing understanding that we were, failing more efficiently, that we needed to do something bold. And so that was the idea when we landed this last budget. We want to land the plane with a pattern interrupt and do something that truly sort of wakes up the system, scratches the proverbial record, and creates a different expectation in terms of the investments.
The governor touts the investments will allow for more one-on-one support, especially when it comes to students with developmental or intellectual disabilities, behavioral health aids, as well as improve California's efforts for free school meals for all students. About 3 weeks ago, Governor Newsom said that he and his wife, first partner Jennifer Siebel Newsom, were under federal investigation. Newsom has accused President Trump of coming after him for political purposes. ABC 10 State Matters political reporter Jenny Ha has the latest for us tonight.
We continue to, maintain vigilance as it relates to the just weaponization by the Department of Justice and other power ministries under the Trump administration.
Governor Gavin Newsom at an unrelated press conference Thursday speaking on the federal investigation he says is going on into his wife, first partner Jennifer Siebel Newsom, and himself. Newsom announced just over 3 weeks ago that the U.S. Department of Justice was investigating them and had been reaching out to people in his personal and political circles.
In recent days, federal agents have knocked on the doors of family, friends, and former employees. Not because they found a crime, because they're simply trying to find one. Donald Trump isn't just coming after me because of my mean tweets. He's coming after me because I'm considering running for president.
But still, nothing official from the DOJ. We followed up with the department Thursday to ask if charges have been filed and whether the governor and first partner would be subpoenaed. A spokesperson said the department does not comment on investigations.
On that topic, can you explain more why you decided to reveal those details first, Governor? In the video, you also would acknowledge that you are considering the 2028 presidential run. So again, can you emphasize more your decision?
That was table stakes. And it's pretty obvious that I'm not timid as it relates to calling out the abuses of the most corrupt administration in American history. So I wanted to socialize it because I thought it was the right thing to do. People need to know what's going on. And there's a certain point where it's just enough's enough.
So far, all we know from a source familiar with the matter is that there are multiple federal probes into people around Newsom. One related to his wife's taxes. Siebel Newsom is a documentary filmmaker overseeing several nonprofits. This news has sparked criticism over millions of dollars in behested payments to those nonprofits. Reports show Newsom asked for some of those donations, which isn't illegal but often frowned upon. Another probe related to Newsom's former chief of staff, Dana Williamson, who will be sentenced in September after pleading guilty to federal charges for her role in siphoning funds from a dormant campaign account of former Attorney General and leading Democratic candidate for governor Xavier Becerra.
It's unfolded in, sort of the politics of the time, which is Newsom, big figure, taking Trump on every day.
Jenny Ha, ABC 10.
Newsom's office has requested all public records from the DOJ pertaining to himself and the first partner since the start of the second Trump administration. Newsom says that he has not received a response. He would not answer whether he and his wife have hired their own attorneys. All right, still ahead, imagine taking your driver's license test, passing it, only to have to go through the process all over again. It's happening to thousands of California drivers, what the DMV is saying tonight. And then a little bit later in our show, our Champion of Hope, you're going to meet a group of volunteers that are helping kids gain confidence on two wheels.
And July has been very mild so far, but things are going to get a lot warmer. Upper 90s are on the way, as well as some monsoon moisture. I've got a full look at the forecast after the break.
But first, another headlines tonight. Today, former Maine Senator Troy Jackson entered the race to become the Democratic candidate in the state's U.S. Senate race. It comes after Democratic Senate candidate Graham Plattner dropped out following rape allegations. The Democratic Party has until July 27th to announce a new candidate for the general election. The new Air Force One gifted by Qatar left Turkey yesterday without President Trump on board. The president left the NATO summit on the old Air Force One. Trump said the new jet was sent ahead without him to England so troops there could tour it. But U.S. officials say the decision was in part due to security concerns. And NASA is looking for volunteers willing to spend a year in a simulated space habitat. It will mimic conditions astronauts are expected to experience on the moon and Mars. Participants will simulate months-long flights and do things like mock Mars walks and use a rover to travel and explore. The space simulation is set to begin August 2027. All right, welcome back in. Let's get a check of our forecast. Let's hand things over to meteorologist Brendan Minchef.
Yeah, things are warming up. That is the short story. Is the mild July that we've had to this point is coming to an end. 97 was our high today in Sacramento, warmest day of the month so far. 98 in Stockton, 97 in Modesto, 90 Placerville, 82 in Tahoe, and 84 in Truckee. Temperatures at the moment still in the 90s for much of the valley. That Delta breeze not very strong right now, very slow to develop. 95 Sacramento, 97 in Stockton, 97 in Modesto. And there you go, current winds. Again, not very strong, just 10 miles per hour across the valley. Looking towards the Tower Bridge, 95 degrees. That's 6 degrees warmer than this time yesterday. We're going to hold on the heat as we go through the evening. Still in the 70s as we go towards 9, 10, 11 o'clock, then dropping into the 60s from midnight onwards. And we'll start off in those upper 50s to right near 60 degrees on Friday morning. A mild morning, but normally where would expect to be that normal low 59. My forecast low temperature is 59 degrees. Similar on Friday afternoon, where we're going to be right near normal. 92 the forecast for tomorrow afternoon, and the normal high is 93. 95 in Stockton, 97 in Modesto, 98 up in Oroville, 90 Nevada City, 94 in Jackson, 96 in Sonora, and some 80s in the high country. A little bit of a breeze as we go through the overnight, but an early developing Delta breeze tomorrow's what's going to help to keep us seasonal. By the time we get towards the late afternoon, we'll already have that Delta breeze going, and it's because as this high pressure starts to move off to the east, it's going to kick that Delta breeze into high gear tomorrow. But as we go into the weekend and the start of next week, it's going to pull up some tropical moisture, so we're going to get some monsoon impacts here. One of the things that we'll see, some stickier conditions. It'll feel a little humid out there early next week. We may also have a chance for some showers, even in the low elevations, but the other models really saying no, not much in the way of rain, more like dry lightning early next week. So we're going to refine this forecast. We're going to see how these models come together as we get closer to it, but certainly dry lightning potential early next week in the high country is going to be there. Some clouds through the weekend and early next week. Notice how temperatures climb too. We'll be in those upper 90s and low triple digits. And again, it'll feel just a little bit sticky early next week. Alex.
All right, Brendan, thank you. Right after the break, tensions with Iran are rising with new missile strikes, a key oil route at risk, and gas prices starting to climb once again. And confusion and concerns over a DMV letter that was sent to thousands of California drivers, why the state is requiring them to retake their tests and what happens if they don't. Thousands of California drivers are scrambling to retake their driver's license knowledge test after the DMV sent them a letter threatening to cancel their license if they don't retest within 30 days. Now, the DMV says it is due to irregularities in test results. Reporter Suzanne Fawn talked to a local teen about the whole ordeal that he went through just to get retested.
For 16-year-old Ian Welliver of Burlingame, getting behind the wheel is a big deal.
I'm pretty excited. Honestly, when I first got my license, I was pretty happy to be able to just drive and the freedom with it.
Welliver got his driver's license last December and his motorcycle license in February. So when he got a letter last month from the DMV,
and it says in bold letters, notice of intent to cancel a driver's license, I was kind of just stunned. I didn't really know what this was about.
Welliver wasn't sure which license the letter was referring to.
It just said, based on a review of your record, the Department of Motor Vehicles has identified irregularities in the knowledge test results. Getting the letter was kind of just heart-wrenching because they were saying they would cancel my license and I didn't do anything.
A day after getting the letter, the team was at the DMV to retake the test, but no one at the agency had any answers as to the reason why.
It was just bizarre. It was so bizarre. We thought we'd be in and out, figuring out there's some sort of mistake. And then the questions just kept growing. And when I realized Even the DMV management had no idea what was happening.
It turns out the DMV sent the same letter about irregularities to 11,000 drivers who took their tests between July 2025 and April 2026. The DMV says, quote, ensuring the integrity of our testing process is essential. The DMV now says the issue, quote, is not AI related, nor is it related to internal technical problems. Welliver and his mother are still stumped by the entire ordeal.
We were really confused, just stunned, because we didn't understand the reasoning behind it, and it was very vague.
And reporter Suzanne Fawn reached out to the DMV for further clarification, but did not hear back. Right now to Iran, where officials say dozens of Iranian drones and missiles launched toward American military bases in the region and have been intercepted since last night. The strikes were headed toward multiple countries, including Kuwait, Jordan, and Qatar. This comes as the U.S. and Iran trade airstrikes, escalating the war and killing at least 14 people, according to Iran's health ministry. With the growing tension, traffic that started moving through the Strait of Hormuz appears to be slowing. As part of the 60-day memorandum of understanding, U.S. forces agreed to remove its blockade there, while Iran agreed to allow the strait to reopen.
That's their biggest leverage. They have used the Strait of Hormuz, I think, very well from their perspective. 21% of the world's energy supply, 30% of the material we need to produce food comes through there, and they have shown that they can close it.
The renewed fighting in Iran is pushing up gas prices and oil prices. A barrel of WTI crude is running in the 70s as of this morning. That's despite recent days in the 60s for the U.S. benchmark. Brent crude is up as well. Nationwide, AAA reports regular gas is up about 5 cents a gallon. And as we know, of course, gas prices here in California higher than the rest of the country right now. AAA saying that the average price for a gallon of gas, regular unleaded gas that is, about $5.38. Again, that is up more than a couple cents from yesterday. Coming up in our Champions of Hope, we're meeting a group that's making dreams come true, helping a 9-year-old find balance and independence. Two wheels, a little determination, and a whole lot of cheering. This week's Champions of Hope takes us to Sacramento's I Can Shine Bike Camp, where the Down Syndrome Information Alliance, dedicated volunteers, and some supportive families are helping riders discover confidence, independence, and the thrill of riding a bike.
You want to be nicely balanced? 2, 1, go, go, go.
9-year-old Joey has a drive
Well,
that's impossible to miss.
I'm gonna try my best.
And after years of trying to learn to ride a bike,
How you feeling? Good. One more time along.
this week he's finally finding his balance.
I see many videos of how to ride a bike, but the problem was I couldn't know how to do the balance. Yep, that was really good.
Joey has autism and ADHD. His mom says learning to ride wasn't just about getting on two wheels, it's about building
his confidence as well. Being able to see that big smile after he rode independently for the first time, it was really awesome.
Push. There you go.
Helping make that happen are dozens of volunteers, including first grade teacher Matthew Rowe.
I wanted to volunteer and do something for the community.
For 5 days, volunteers run alongside riders, offering encouragement through every wobble, every turn, and every victory.
If my rider at the end doesn't know how to ride the bike, if we had a great time this week and I made them have fun, then that to me is good enough. And that's really just what I want to do, is I just want to spread compassion.
The camp is hosted by the Down Syndrome Information Alliance, an organization that connects families with resources and opportunities like the I Can Shine Bike Camp.
It can be a big confidence boost for them. It could be the keys to independence for them. It can be riding around the park with their friends.
And if you ask Joey,
right there, perfect.
There's no question how he feels about everyone who's helped him get here.
Well, I have to say they're my favorite team in like the world.
Or about his favorite part of bike camp.
I have to say this entire day. Say the most ever laps I did was over a gazillion.
He did over a gazillion laps there. Now I have to say, Joey of course stole our heart, but one quick story. right before the interview, he looks at me and he goes, "Have you ever done this before?" And I said, "Yeah, I've done an interview a few times." He goes, "Okay, good. Don't be nervous." I said, "Okay, I won't be nervous if you won't be nervous." So I just want to say thank you so much to the Brown family for giving us a chance to speak to Joey. And I also want to mention that the Down Syndrome Information Alliance has more events that they're hosting this year. On July 27th, they'll be hosting a barbecue for their night slides at Sunsplash out in Roseville. For more information on how you can get those tickets, make sure you look for this story on our website at abc10.com. As always, thank you so much for watching, for always inviting us into your home. If you have something you think we should be looking into, go ahead and reach out to us.